Look at these three sentences. And look at these three words. And, but, though. Now, what kinds of words are these? Are they verbs, adjectives? They are conjunctions. And, but, though, however, because, therefore, so. These words are conjunctions. They join two sentences or two ideas together. So, for example, let's take the two sentences, I like apples, I like pears. How can we make these two sentences one sentence? We can put the conjunction and. I like apples and I like pears. Or, I like apples and pears. This way, we don't have to say two sentences. It's much quicker. We know that this idea and this idea are connected because we put the word and. Now, what about these two sentences? I like apples, I don't like pears. What conjunction can we use? We can use but. I like apples, but I don't like pears. Or we could also use however. I like apples, however, I don't like pears. However is much more formal and it's more often used in written language than spoken language. What about when we have some different options? So you're at a dinner party and there are different types of food and someone offers to serve you some food. They might say, do you want pizza or pasta? That means you can choose one. So, when we have a choice, when we have options, we can say, or. I would like to live in that apartment or in that apartment. I can't decide. We also use or one other time. Do you know when? We use or when we have a list of items and it's negative. So for example, I like apples and I like pears, but I don't like bananas or pineapples. So when we have a negative sentence, we should use or between the list of items. Now what about these two sentences? I like apples, they are sweet. How can we connect them? Well, they are sweet is the reason I like apples. So we can use the word because. I like apples because they are sweet. Is there another word that we could use? We could also use as. I like apples as they are sweet. You can't call me as my phone has no battery. You can't call me because my phone has no battery. Now what about if we switch these sentences around? If we give the reason first and after we say what the result of that reason is, then we can't use because or as. We have to change the conjunction. What conjunction do we use? We can use therefore. My phone has no battery, therefore you can't call me. Is there another conjunction that you can think of that we could use? We could also use so. My phone has no battery, so you can't call me. Apples are sweet, so I like them. Apples are sweet, therefore I like them. Again, therefore is much more formal. We use it more often in written language, and so we use much more in spoken language. Now another time that we use so, and you might notice in my videos, I often say so, when we start to talk. We also use this word as a way to announce that we're about to start speaking. It's like a filler word. It's something that we say before talking, often. And yet, if you watch my videos, you will see or hear lots of times I start my sentences with so. It's kind of a bad habit because it's an unnecessary word, but it's very common for an English speaker to begin their sentences with so, to announce that they are speaking, and to start thinking about what they're going to say. So, The next one is though. When do we use the word though? When do we use that conjunction? Though is very similar to however and but. But however and but usually introduce two ideas which are not connected. So, for example, I like apples but I don't like pears. So these are two different fruits. If I like apples, you don't expect me to like pears. They taste different. It's a disconnected thing. So I'm more likely to use the word but. However, we often use though when something else is surprising based on the first piece of information. For example, lots of people say English is easy, though I find it really difficult. This is surprising. People say it's easy, so I should find it easy. This is surprising. I find it difficult. So we can use though here. We can also use but and however, but it will be more common for a person to use though in this instance. Another example would be, he's really clever, though sometimes he says silly things. So we don't expect him to say silly things. He's very clever, he shouldn't, but he does. So in this situation, because this is surprising, based on this information, we can use though. Now with the word though, we can also put that clause at the beginning of the sentence. We can say, though he sometimes says silly things, he's really clever. So here, the meaning is really the same, but I'm emphasising the fact that he's clever instead of the fact that he says silly things. The other example is, though I find English really difficult, lots of people say it's easy. So we can always put that first clause with though at the beginning of the sentence. All of the other conjunctions that we've looked at today stay in the same place and they don't move. Except as. We can move as. So, I like apples as they are sweet. We can also put that first clause to the beginning. As they are sweet, I like apples. So, I can't stop saying so, that's the end of the video. Though, there is still opportunity to practice. There are some sentences in the description which are missing a word. You need to choose the correct conjunction and put it in the sentence, and then write those sentences in the comments below for me, and I can check them for you. Remember, if you would like to learn more about conjunctions in English, then like this video and I will make more videos about conjunctions in the future. So that's the end of the video. Remember, you can subscribe to this channel to get more videos about grammar tips and English chats, and I hope you have a lovely evening, morning, day, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are, and I will see you soon. Bye!